Wally was big for his age of 7 years. Everyone wondered what role the teacher would give him in the annual Christmas play, especially considering the fact that Wally was a slow learner. Perhaps he could pull the curtain. To everyone's surprise, the teacher gave Wally an actual speaking part. He was cast in the role of the innkeeper, and Wally was delighted. After all, he had to only learn one line: there is no room in the inn. He had that down in no time. Then came the night of the program. The parents took their places. Every seat in the auditorium was filled. The children entered down the aisle singing, "O Come, All You Faithful." The lights dimmed. A hush moved over the audience. The curtain opened on scene one. Mary and Joseph entered the stage and walked up to the inn. "Please, sir, my wife is not well," the little boy playing Joseph said. "Could we have a room for the night?" Wally was ready for his line. He had rehearsed for weeks. He remembered it all night. But when it came time for him to speak, the worst thing imaginable happened. He began, "There is," but a baby in the audience cried out, and Wally looked out in the auditorium and lost focus. When he looked back at Mary and Joseph, he forgot what he was supposed to say. He remembered the first two words, "There is." He said them again. "There is." Some of the smarter students sneered. They knew that the teacher shouldn't have given Wally a speaking part. But Wally tried to recover. He started over one more time. "There is," but again, nothing. Now, even the most self-assured students were embarrassed for Wally. But what could anyone do? Jimmy, the boy playing the part of Joseph, thought he would improvise and started walking away toward the stable on stage left and took Mary with him, and the play continued. But let's hold on for a moment. Have you ever been blamed for something that wasn't your fault? That's a tough place to be. Over the years, the characters in the Christmas story have become clearly defined for us. Herod was a villain, of course he was, wanting to kill all the babies born in Bethlehem just so the Messiah couldn't possibly make it. The wise men were intelligent and good. They came from far away, and they brought gifts. The shepherds were heroes. They heard the angels and believed and left their flocks to worship the king. But the innkeeper, well, the poor innkeeper has gone down as one of the not-so-good guys in the story. In our mind's eye, we envision him as an uncaring fellow, sticking his head out of a second-story window shouting, "Don't you understand? I don't have time for the likes like you. There's no room in this or any other inn. There is a manger." But you know something? The little statement about there being no room in the inn becomes a symbol for the whole of the Gospel of Luke. As Luke writes, it almost becomes the overarching theme. Jesus wasn't well received anywhere. Luke takes this one line, "There is no room in the inn," and shows us how the theme recurs all throughout Jesus' ministry. When you think about the scriptures, there was hardly ever any room for Jesus, anytime. After he healed the man with demons, the townspeople ran Jesus out of town because they could no longer sell their wares to tourists who came to watch the man beat himself. In Mark 3, Jesus heals on the Sabbath, and those around him turn on him for working on Sunday. No room in their inns and towns for Jesus. In Matthew 21, when Luke saw that the temple had been turned into the market, he turned over the tables of money changers. Immediately, the scribes and Pharisees sought to put an end to him. No room in their inns for Jesus. The question Luke leaves for us over and over is, will there be any room in your end, in my end, and our ends for him. And why is that important? If there's never room for him in your end, in your heart, you will never experience a fulfilling Christmas. So what does such a Christmas look like? Well, first of all, it looks like nothing like we think it might be. There's a sense all around us during this time of year seeking to instill excitement in us, telling us that we must get ourselves into the right spirit, and offering to help us with just the right music, and enticing us with the idea of buying just the right gift for the right person, and so on, with the end product being a perfect Christmas. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with buying gifts. I've bought several Christmas presents myself over the past weeks. It's all good. But the truth is that the obsessive busyness of the season and all the purchases we make have no power of enabling us to have a perfect anything, much less Christmas. The point for so many people during these last few weeks has seemed to be this: it's what you do, usually for yourself, that makes your Christmas a successful holiday. If you get into the right mood, it'll be all fine. If you make your list for others so they will get you what you want, you'll be fulfilled. If you follow your Christmas routine, you'll be happy, at least until the holiday ends. Really, however, there's little we can do for ourselves that will enhance any day of the year, much less Christmas. We haven't the power to do any of that. No matter how hard we try, we can't create a perfect attitude, a perfect day, a perfect Christmas. But I believe God can, if we let him. There are things that we can do to put us in position to have a fulfilling, gratifying holiday, and most of it involves taking the focus off of ourselves. The scripture says that Jesus is born in Bethlehem. There were those who experienced the birth. A number of them were even looking for him. Have you been doing that this season? Have you seen Jesus lately? Sometimes people ask me where I've seen Jesus lately, and if I have to answer that at times I can't help but see Jesus. Jesus is present in our building every time we open it up every week for our homeless friends and provide them with food and shelter and love. Jesus is present every time we dig another well in Haiti, providing life-giving water to thousands. And people here at Providence, because of our offering last year, we have built 28 new wells in Haiti, providing crystal clear water. I've seen it coming out of the ground. It's incredible. Giving life-giving water to thousands. Jesus is present when we offer and receive relationships in our What's Next ministry and our many other local missions, which is some of what tonight's offering will support. Our Christmas offering goes to support the work and missions of our church community, our local community, and our world community. John Ortberg wrote a book entitled God is Closer Than You Think. In it, he says God is in our midst constantly, but often we miss him. Are you looking for Christ this Christmas? Most often he doesn't appear in obvious ways. That's why the innkeeper missed him. Often Christ appears in and through those who suffer and oppressed. God chose the Israelites not because of their strength and influence. They were a mess. God chose them because he saw in them a people in need. God said, you and I will be inseparable. We will be one. When people think of me, they will think of you. Because I will demonstrate over and over my love for you. I will lead you and I'll protect you. If you listen to me, you will know nothing but fulfillment. You may be the least, but through my strength and love, you will not be seen that way. All across the Bible, and especially in today's story, God chose to walk with those who were lowly and in need. It's still true today. That's where God can be seen and felt the most, the best. So where are you on that? If you're dreaming about the perfect Christmas, you must look low. Some of you are in pain. Some of you have experienced grief and loss. If you have and are discouraged and depressed, reach out to someone looking low, someone who will be willing to lift you up and carry you for just a little while. You may not be in a position to experience the perfect Christmas this year, but by receiving warmth and help, you will make it through the season and come out on the other side stronger now. And through the help and friendship with another, be more ready to serve yourself and others when the need arises. If you're not struggling or suffering yourself right now and are seeking the kind of fulfillment others have testified that Christians can bring at the Christmas season, get your head out of the lights and look low. There's someone around you who needs you, only you, to bring God's loving presence into her or his life. If God directs a struggling person to cross your path this Christmas or anytime, you won't be able to solve all of her or his problems, but if you allow God to use you to do something, even one thing in the name of Christ, the scriptures lead us to believe that the angels in heaven will rise up and call you blessed. First, look for Jesus, who can be found low. Second, listen to him. One of our folks told me the other day that Christ had been nudging him to do something special for someone this season, a specific thing. He decided to tell and ask his father about that, and his dad said, "Son, if God's nudging you, you need to get it done." Isn't that wonderful? The man's father was a perfect example, and he knew how to ask him about this experience, and he listened and did it. I believe Jesus does nudge us like that many times during this season of the year. I believe he does it now because he knows the ears of our hearts are a little less stopped up this time of year, a little more open to the quiet of his voice. Are you listening? Sometimes after years of choosing to judge and complain and wonder why people don't do more for themselves, the ears of our hearts get this wax all over them, and it's hard for God's voice to get through all that. Might this be the year of the perfect Christmas in your life? First, look for Jesus where he may be found. Second, listen for his voice. And finally, do something for him. Be ready to respond when someone asks for your help. Be on the lookout for Jesus on the faces of others and ask them if there's something you can help them with. Most of us know a family that has lost a loved one during the past year. There's nothing you can say or do to take away that person's pain, but knowing that you care, really care, makes a difference. You might wait until those dark, depressing days right after Christmas and then visit that person or write or call if that's better. Share some incident related to that person. It's healing. It will make a difference in the person's life during a bleak season. Two, be on the lookout for people who are alone and or depressed. Victims of depression, especially this time of year, see life shades darker than it really is. Never does that bleak condition hurt so much as at Christmas. Like the innkeeper, there's no way for us to provide everything, but we can do or say something. Many times people who are struggling with hanging on need only to be told that they are loved. How many times will you tell that to people over this season? What I didn't tell you about the story of Wally, the innkeeper, was that he had a heart of gold. When Joseph began to walk off stage toward the manger, Mary thought the play was over and began to cry. And then she came back into character and whispered to Wally, "I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm about to have a baby. I must have a place for him to be born." And Wally completely lost focus. I know this isn't the right line, he blurted out as he took off his head wrap, but you can come home with me. We've got plenty of room. Wow. Thank God for people who dare to violate scripts so that they can follow a higher impulse of love. Are there any knocks on your door this Christmas? You can't fix everything, but like the innkeeper who provided a manger, you can do something. And when you do, you'll hear the voice of the Christ child whisper, "Inasmuch as you did it for one of the least of these, you did it for me." It doesn't get any better than that. The year of the perfect Christmas. I believe it can happen in your life. Amen.